The object of Taxi Chronicles is to allow real riders with real stories share their experience and enhance your life. So sit back and enjoy the journey. Morning. Yes, we're back with another episode, another rider. Today we have James in the car and he plays, was that a cello?
That's a cello, yeah.
He plays the cello amongst many other instruments, and he's been in the music business a while, judging by his appearance. He seems well suited, well fitted in. So we're just going to talk about his career and why he got started and see what we can learn. So nice to have you here today, James.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So why music? Why
Why music? Honestly, I got to the point where all the eggs were in one basket, and it was the only thing available to me, basically. I started learning an instrument in school. By the time I got to about 17, it was pretty much the main thing that I was focused on, and I decided I wanted to study music, and it went from there.
Were your parents musicians?
Not at all. Not very supportive, but not musical.
They're not creative in any shape or fashion?
No. Dad's background in social work. Mum was a college lecturer. So
okay.
Yeah, but they understood the importance of sticking to something that I was interested in, and taught me discipline, and this is where it led me to.
So you've been in the music industry since 16?
Well, I went to music college at like 18 years old.
Okay, so it's probably a good 20 years?
Yeah, my goodness, 2007. So nearly 20 years ago, about 15 years ago.
That's good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What have you learned about the music industry that you wish you knew when you had started?
What have I learned? I wish I knew. I mean, I think I hesitate because there's so many things. I'm just trying to think what's the most sort of pertinent.
You can throw. It doesn't have to just be one thing. You could throw out quite a few things. Let's
say that if you put in the work, you can always achieve. You kind of get a feeling that you sort of hope that you're lucky and you get the breaks and whatnot, and there's a certain element of right place, right time, knowing the right people and whatnot. But more than anything, it's just really putting your mind to really working hard and just grinding, and hard work pays off. That's the thing.
Now, you play the cello.
Yeah.
Is that your main instrument? Is that the instrument you learned first?
Yeah, cello's my main instrument. I play bass as well, and a bit of keyboard here and there. But cello's always been my main thing.
So you like a jazz?
Well, the cello tend to be more so in like a classical arena. But I mean, I do other things as well. Like I do quite a lot of film sessions and stuff on cello now. So that's kind of, it's an orchestral thing. But,
like Hans Zimmer
and stuff like that. Yeah, I've done some sessions with Hans. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. In fact, that was one of the big contractors in London, person that books musicians. My first ever film, when that person booked me, shout out Isabel Griffiths. My first ever film was actually a Hans Zimmer film. Funny enough.
What film was that?
It's you may have heard of it, James Bond.
Yeah. Okay, which one?
That was No Time to Die.
No Time to Die.
Yeah.
Okay. That's some heavy words as well. No Time to Die.
Yeah.
So what was that experience like? Were you nervous? Were you?
Yeah, very nervous actually. The lady that I mentioned, Isabel Griffiths, she's sort of her agency is a company that most freelance orchestral musicians in London, would give their right arm to be working for. So when I first got that call, largely thanks to my friend Everton Nelson, who's a great violinist, and another friend of mine, Marianne Haynes, also a great violinist, they recommended me, and that led to me getting that first call. And you go in and kind of what's at stake in terms of making a good impression and trying to confirm that you're sort of an employable person, someone that they want to book again and again. But then you kind of sit back and you think, you know what, I'm here because I have something. So, and when you kind of sit in that, then the nerves subside a little bit. Certainly they did for me anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of relax. And I remember my first ever session, I had a really nice guy, Will Schofield, sat next to me in the cello section, and I think he could tell that I was a bit nervous. My first ever session. I told him it was my first session, and he just he said to me, "There's some information that you need during a session is on a screen," and I hadn't realized, in the nerves of whatever, I hadn't even realized. And he just tapped me and he said, "The bar count is on the screen," and it was as if he was kind of saying to me, "You're okay. You're good."
Yeah, we've got this covered. You just do your thing.
Exactly. Yeah, and you kind of need that. You need those people along the way, for sure.
Okay, that's good. So I have to ask, as a black man playing the cello,
Yeah.
is there quite a few other people in your industry, other black people?
I mean, there are more than there was, I think, 20, 30 years ago. In fact, what I'm going to do today, I'm playing with the Chineke Orchestra. I don't know if you've heard of them. It's Europe's first majority black and ethnic minority orchestra. So, some of my colleagues that I'll play with today, black guys, people that I've known for a long while. But there aren't loads of us. In the London scene, you're talking about sort of 4 or 5 of us that, are actively working in that kind of orchestral.
And are you all cello players?
Those people I'm mentioning, yeah. But there are lots more black string players that are working actively. A lot in Europe actually, and some that have been working in places like Germany, Belgium, places like that for a while, that are now deciding to come over to London and stuff like that. A lot of Americans as well that are coming over. So yeah, it's nice that the demographic is kind of changing. The landscape is changing for sure.
So when you did that thing with Hans Zimmerman,
yeah,
were you the only cello player, or was there like 10 of you or something?
That was a big massive orchestra, so that was like 24 cellos in that orchestra.
Why you need that many people?
Well, Hans Zimmer, he's notorious for a lot of his sessions, he wouldn't use a standard orchestra in the sense of violins, violas, cello. He tends to prefer having more cellos and not using any violas. So that particular session, which by the way is probably the only reason I got the call, they had 24, London session cellists on the session, and that's kind of how that went.
So is London the place to be for like the classical orchestra? I'm not sure what you call it. A classic music thing.
You like the orchestral industry?
Yeah.
I mean, for me, in terms of the breadth of variety, London for me is the hub in terms of all kinds of different styles and contexts that you can be exposed to.
Because you spoke about Americans and people come from France, and that kind of indicates that there's a hub in London where you can always get work.
Yeah, people are coming from all over all the time. There's just, in terms of the sheer volume of stuff that's going on in London, and in all the different niches, so much work. Whether if you're a West End musician, there's you can get a job there, or be a deputy musician and moving around different shows, or like I say, in the orchestral session scene, in terms of films, there's lots of work there. And if you want to do the more so straight ahead classical orchestral, so you're in like a full-time classical orchestra, that's kind of a scene that you can also freelance in as well. So there's loads of stuff going on.
What's the route that you've taken?
The route that I took is I studied a classical music degree, traditional degree, and then from I suppose the education I came through is a bit of an classical orchestral musician factory in a sense. But during the time that I was studying, I was starting to do a lot of gigs with singer-songwriters and artists, moving in different genres and kind of just exposing myself to different styles. So I kind of from the get-go, I was always doing lots of different things as opposed to just strictly classical.
Singer-songwriters, anybody famous?
Yeah, I've worked with some really notorious artists. I've worked with Coldplay, I've worked with Sam Smith, I've worked with, who else have I worked with? So there's Laura Mvula, who's, by the way, is my sister as well. So I've worked with her quite a lot.
What, you're Nigerian?
No, I'm Caribbean, but she was married to a Zambian guy.
Okay.
So that's the name, Mvula. But yeah, so I've worked a lot with my sister, and yeah, I
So
mean,
your sister's in the
many
music
artists.
industry as well?
Yeah, she's a singer songwriter. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I heard of Coldplay.
Mm.
A lot of the other names went over me. I assume they're quite famous.
Yeah,
but
there
I'm
are
not
many.
familiar.
This is
I'm
the
not
thing.
up
I
to
said
speed
the
with
ones
music.
that were probably, I thought, most
Resonate.
well known. But
Yeah.
I've worked with many artists, and you know, I'll listen back to this and I'll be like, I wish I'd said such and such.
Yeah.
But there we are.
You spoke about when you were in school, it was kind of a given that you're going to end up in music. Why was that? What was it that, you know, sports, whatever? You're from up north.
Birmingham, yeah. What I guess the thing with music, and certainly the extent to which, you know, I was taking it seriously as a teenager, it goes beyond sort of having your lessons in school and, you know, all the extracurricular activities, and it basically quickly became a lifestyle for me, essentially, with all the different things I was doing, you know, Saturday orchestra, and, you know, at one stage it kind of started to, you know, replace all the sports that I was doing. I loved, you know, football, cricket, I was doing all of that, but then music sort of took over, and yeah, it got to the point where it was like, if I can keep continuing this, and it's looking like music, we call it music college, which is basically university for music. And once you go down that route, it's kind of like, well, you know, well, certainly for me, it was like, I guess I'm doing this and I'm going to make a career out of it. So.
Okay, that's really good. What would you say to your 16-year-old self?
I'm just taking a selfie. My 16-year-old self, about trying to get into the industry, or?
Yeah, guidance, life and guidance, everything.
I would say 2 things. Take your time and prioritize working hard. Like, learn the discipline of working flipping hard, basically. Because, you know, when you get older, and, you know, my professors said it, you know, when you get older, you get married and and, you know, it's hard to prioritize, you know, just things like practice and whatnot. Now's the time. And I worked pretty hard at university, but, you know, I don't know if I sort of instilled, you know, a culture in myself where it's like, you know, what may in life, in terms of life circumstances, I'm always gonna just that discipline of, you know, my sacred time with my instrument, things like that. You know, those things that you really must, prioritize. I think at that stage when you're 16, you know, when there's all sorts of, you know, at that age you're kind of, you know, you're starting to learn about girls and, you know, your friends and hanging out and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, you got to enjoy life and you know, experience life and grow up and stuff like that. But yeah, just working hard, just focus and working hard and learning is so key, so key.
Follow on question, there's nothing that you would do different? Would you do this industry again? Would you go, if you could do it all again?
If I could do it all again, I would think more carefully and earlier on about, there's a phrase that we use, talk about the inner game, a great book written, and now of course I've forgotten the name of the guy, Timothy something. He wrote a book called The Inner Game of Tennis, and it was adapted and for music, so somebody wrote The Inner Game of Music. It talks about everything that is involved in the mental side of playing music, and, you know, things like interference and the things that, you know, get in the way of us expressing ourselves. So I guess for me, if I had it all to do again, I would really get on top of my inner game early, and really, just kind of, if you think of like physical training that we do for fitness, like keeping fit, I would love to have learned how to keep my mind fit earlier on, I think.
That's a very interesting one, keeping your mind fit. That inner game sounds quite deep.
Yeah, it's a great book. I highly recommend it.
In that respect, because it can be used for so many different industries or
exactly.
walks of life and things like that.
Yeah.
In that things. How have you moved from Birmingham to London?
Yeah.
How long you lived in London for?
This year will be 10 years, actually, yeah.
And how did you find the move? Was it a bit daunting? Did you have family down there?
I loved it. Did I have family down here? I think at that stage it was my younger sister she was the first one to come to London.
Is she the singer?
She's a musician as well. She does everything. She writes, she plays guitar, she plays violin. She's on tour with a band at the moment called Florence and the Machine. It's a big band, big tour she's doing. So yeah, she was the first to come, and then
what's her name? In case people
her
want
name
to
is
look her.
Dion Douglas.
Dion Douglas.
Yeah,
in case people want to look her up.
Yeah, Dion Douglas. So I sort of followed her to London, came to do my postgraduate studies at the Royal Academy of Music, and ended up here 2012. Seems like a lifetime ago. Crazy.
What was your first? Had you been to London before?
Yeah, up until that stage, I'd been for probably a year or maybe even a bit longer. I'd been coming to London sometimes to see my cello professor, because he's from like the south, like Hampshire, and he couldn't always come up to Birmingham. So sometimes I used to meet him in London, and funny enough, I used to come to the Royal Academy of Music. I wasn't a student there then, but I'd sometimes come to the academy and have my lessons there, meet my teacher there if he couldn't come to Birmingham. So yeah, I was used to coming to London, occasionally, staying in the city, typically doing a few days, coming home. So yeah, by the time I moved here, it wasn't although funny enough, it was me leaving home for the first time. It wasn't the kind of massive life change that you'd think it might be.
You were really dedicated, though. I admire that. I can see that in
I was curious for sure. I was well up for seeing what a life.
Do you see yourself going back to live in Birmingham, or is London your new home?
I don't know. London's home for now. My wife's happy. She moved from Denmark, came from Copenhagen to live here. She's happy in
She a
London.
musician as well?
No, she works in pharmaceuticals.
Okay.
And project manager.
Okay.
So yeah, she's happy. So you know what they say, happy wife, happy life. So
yeah, tell me about it. Yeah.
So yeah, let's see for now.
Yeah, I hear. Well, that's good that you're all going on. What would be your words of advice to someone moving to London from Birmingham?
My advice, moving to London: be curious and commit to learning. Commit to learning across the board. If you're coming to study music, not just in music, London has so much to offer in terms of, culture and history, and just see everything. To be fair, my first few years in London, I didn't really enjoy everything London had to offer. You can go to a performance of some kind literally every night of the week, like several times a day. And there's always something going on. It doesn't always cost a lot of money. So I would just say, just take stuff in, stuff that ultimately feeds you, particularly if you're working in sort of the creative industry and the arts. Take stuff in that's going to inspire you and just learn about life, kind of thing. That would be my advice.
Okay, that's good.
And I'd also say, like, prioritize rest as well. Like, sleep is important. I think sleep is underrated. That's what I would say.
Talking about that, rest and everything, health-wise, how do you maintain because I assume mentally, when you're playing, you're in your element, so it's like a release. But physically, whether it's your hands, your fingertips, your muscles in your body, they must be under great stress at times. How do you have to keep fit? Do you have to do yoga? Do you have to do like some physio on your fingers?
Yeah, I'd say just being active is important. Just trying to move often. I personally quite enjoy going to the gym. And doing strength training. I'd say more so as I've gotten a bit older. I'm more focused sort of on my cardiovascular health now and my kind of mobility. And I'm 33 years old, and So I'm actually starting to feel. I think when you're in your 20s and early 30s, you're in your peak sort of physical conditioning. You think you just feel like you're always going to be that way. But I think I'm starting to understand that my body is just starting to, come over that peak now. And it's really important for me to just to move my body, to be, stretching and stuff like that, and just looking after my
swimming's
my
good.
body. Swimming, is good, easy on the joints, but I've had problems with water when it gets in my ears.
You got ear plugs?
Yeah, earplugs. Not always had a great time with them.
Oh,
But maybe one day I'll get back into that. Maybe when I cut my locks off.
I swim often. I swim nearly every day.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
So I'm an advocate for swimming, but I do realise I need to do other calisthenic exercises for my core stability.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What does the future hold for you?
What does the future hold? God willing, children. That's something that my wife and I would love in the future.
You want many children?
I would like 2, 3 max, but I think 2's ideal.
Yeah, okay.
And
remember, you're going to get old. You're going to need people to look after you.
Yeah, true.
And they're going to need to share that thing, man.
True that. That's a good point.
Caribbean, man. You know how we do it, man.
Yeah, you're right.
Big old plantation families.
Yeah. You're right.
But when you see your grandma and you see all the family and the nieces and nephews and grandchildren, you see how happy they are in their old age.
Yeah, my mom's one of 10.
Yeah, see, my mom's one of 15, my dad's one of 10.
Wow.
So when you look at that now, and you look at it compared to the typical English family, that Southern English family with the dog and the budgerigars and maybe 1 or 2 children, and they live far away and they don't have time for them. You don't want to go down that route.
No.
But each to their own. Each to their own.
So for me, the future would look like enjoying family life. I'm blessed to have married a wonderful woman. Shout out Alice. And
I just started the shout outs. Yeah, good.
So I intend to enjoy that aspect of life, and I really believe that kind of in terms of my professional life, it all flows out from the home life really. So that's, if you ask me what the future holds, my priority really is living in love and enjoying that, and living at peace with my creator as well, and I feel like everything else takes care of itself, essentially.
I hear that. Where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram, James AD. What's my Instagram handle? Oh my goodness, James Cello Douglas. That's it. Yeah.
So
James,
do you want to spell that for us?
James JamesCello Douglas.
And is it all one word?
Yeah, well, it's a handle, so Instagram handle, so it's all one word.
No
underscores, no, nothing like that. Nothing like that. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
And you've done quite a bit. You've been in the Bonds music.
Yeah. I've been doing some good stuff. Some other big films come out this year. Batman, played on the last Batman. Jurassic Park just come out, played on that. There's a cool Elvis biopic just came out, played on that as well. So there's been some good projects that I've been part of.
I suppose once that's on your resume, then it's hard for people to turn you down for future work.
Yeah, certainly in that kind of session scene. Yeah. I'm fortunate to have played on some of the biggest film franchises.
You spoke about the demographics changing. There's been more black people in the music industry. When you first did the Hans Zimmer and you was on the cello, were you the only black person there?
No, I wasn't. The guy I mentioned, Everton Nelson, who was instrumental in me sort of coming into that film scene, he actually, like Everton Nelson, like for everyone listening, particularly, black people, Everton Nelson is an icon. He's a violinist. He's been leading film session scenes, so sitting in the concertmaster seat on session scenes for 20 plus years. So the biggest film franchises, you name it, the chances are he's probably not only played on the recording but actually led the orchestra. And funnily enough, he's from Birmingham as well.
Oh, I see him now, yeah.
And I met Everton 2018, I think it was, or maybe it was 19. But we were both on a a TV commercial shoot in Budapest, and I met him in the airport arrivals, actually, funny enough, in Budapest, and it was one of those ones where I couldn't understand that there was this black guy violinist that I didn't know, and he was from Birmingham as well. Crazy. He's a little bit older than me, so I think that probably explains that, it's a bit of a generational kind of thing. But yeah, he's like incredible. Has looked after me, really supported me, and blazed the trail. He was playing on film sessions where, he would turn up and people are like looking at him like, literally, what are you doing here? I mean, now that as I say, the industry is changing, and there are more of us coming through, and some of my other colleagues. But he took the brunt.
He was like the Trevor McDonald.
There you go. 20 plus years ago. So big up Everton Nelson.
Okay, so that would be fair to dedicate this interview to Everton Nelson.
I would say so. I think that's
I have to hashtag him.
Everton Nelson.
You have to give me his hashtag.
Yeah, I will. I can't remember his Instagram handle off the top of my head, but
I'm sure you can send it to us later on, and we will tag it in and that kind of thing. So you like life in London? Yeah,
I love London. Feels like home now. Been here for a little while.
Do you miss Birmingham?
I probably need to get back to you in about 12 hours because I'm on my way to Birmingham now for a concert tonight, and I haven't been for a long time. So I'm kind of looking forward to being home. Don't know if I could say I miss Birmingham in that sense.
Okay.
But yeah, so it'll always be home, I guess.
Yeah, it's true. Home is home. We can't. Yeah, but they say if you live somewhere longer than where you were born, then that's your new home.
Oh, okay. New home. I'm almost about half and half now. So
yeah, in that respect.
Yeah.
But it's been a great interview.
Yeah, thanks. This is a very nice surprise. I did not expect this today.
Yeah, we really appreciate you sharing your gift, and that's you've done. So we thank you for that. So some young people can learn about the music industry and whether they should get into it and how, and the route they should take. And basically, I got from you that you need a mentor. In life.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Yeah.
Our last question to you is: if the world was in front of you, based on your life experience, you had to give them one sentence of advice.
Yeah.
What would it be?
The world in front of me. One piece of advice.
7.5 billion people standing in front of you, James, saying, what should we do? What's your one sentence of advice for us?
I would say love God, love each other.
Okay. Thanks a lot for that. And we wish you well.
Okay, thanks very much. Thanks for having me.
We hope that episode enhanced your life. We post an interview every day as well as vlogging on our social media channels. Don't forget to subscribe to get our latest episode.